1,500 terrorists get into Israel and commit atrocities. So what's going to happen next? Let's find out. It's time for a little bit of intellectual anarchy, where we engage in extreme truth, extreme common sense, and diversity of ideas. Hi, I'm your host, James Salazar. So the glaring thing we are dealing with today is the war in Israel. Israel is at war with Hamas, the government of Gaza, which is also doubles as a terrorist group. 1,500 terrorists found their way into Israel, which was a big failure of military intelligence of Israel to not to know that something of this nature was going to happen. 1,500 in the country. They went to commit a lot of atrocities. They killed so many people. They killed women and they raped women, and they raped women and then they killed them. They beheaded children. They killed children in front of their families, and they burned people alive. And they went into hospitals and beheaded 40 babies. So this is a level of hate and evilness, and it's just straight evil. Level of hate and evil, not since the Nazis. Now, do I think Israel has been the best towards the Muslims? Absolutely not. They treat the Gaza citizens like they're all terrorists. Granted that they voted in a terrorist government over there. So, and this is what happens. So, right now, Israel is at war and most likely is going to clean out all of Gaza. Probably going to force Jordan and Egypt to take the refugees, and probably most likely Gaza will be a militarized zone and nobody can go into. And see, the thing is, there's only been 3 states in that area, and they're all been Jewish, Israeli. And people don't like that. It goes back to the Bible. I don't want to get into that minutia. But Israel, once they were in charge, has offered the Palestinians 5 times to have their own state, and they've denied it every time. Because if they become a state, Israel can react to them as a state. But if they act like a group of refugees, then there's no centralized government to attack. And Egypt and Jordan and all the people who are border Israel and Gaza, they're not going to help the Palestinian people at all. They're going to use them as a tool to get close and to funnel terrorism through that area, and it's the innocent Palestinians who get the brunt of it. So bad that terrorists go in, they do what they do, they come out, they hide in civilian areas, they shoot bombs from civilian areas, all against the Geneva Convention, and they hide behind children and families. So if Israel is going to attack back and retaliate, they want to make sure that there is a high toll of innocent lives that they can blame it on Israel. But I think people are just over that now. Once you declare war all bets are off. And if you're going to come in and murder 90% of civilians, then the full brunt of that nation is, they're not going to be, well, if you're not going to play by the Geneva Convention, neither should we. Now, they're going to do it. What happened? Oh, shoot. Got excited and hit. I mean, I'm pretty far. I don't know how I got there. I just hit it. I got excited. Nevertheless, probably Israel's going to go in, scorch earth, and make it a militarized zone. And the Muslim terrorists didn't or don't have the ability to take over Israel and win a battle with Israel. It's only to hurt. Only to hurt it. And then have nothing else happen. And they know that Israel's retaliation will be a lot larger than their attack. And why? How can they make this calculation? How can they make it worth it? Well, my friend, it falls on religion. I need to explain to you what a fundamentalist Muslim is. And I'm going to do that by explaining what a fundamentalist Christian is. And you'll get to understand this. See, a fundamentalist Christian is someone who believes that gay marriage is wrong, who believes that abortion is wrong, believes in the power of prayer and that God can speak to your heart, and that we should all, even though we fail every day, we should all sustain from sin. And they believe that God moves on their behalf and they can hear God's voice. This is a fundamentalist Christian. All right? They believe that but people should stay married unless it's because of adultery. They shouldn't get divorced. People should stay together. A lot of things. Now, a moderate Christian believes that there is a God and there is salvation through Jesus Christ, but they believe abortion is okay. They believe gay marriage is okay. This is a moderate Christian. They do not believe the whole Bible. They only believe parts of the Bible. But the fundamentalist Christian believes in the whole Bible, from back to front, even with all its contradictions and all its flaws, which I don't think there is many as atheists like to say and point out, because the Bible is about imperfect people dealing with a perfect God. And when you read it in that context, it is brilliant. But I digress. Now let's go back to a moderate Muslim. A moderate Muslim doesn't believe that Christians and Jews should be murdered for being Christians and Jews. Now they probably believe in abortion's wrong. They probably believe in gay marriage is wrong. And really, Muslims who do believe that gay marriage is okay and abortion is okay are really non-religious Muslims. But fundamentalist Muslims believe that all Jews and Christians, unless they're going to submit to Islam, should die. And mostly for Jews, they should die whether they submit or not. They should just be murdered. That is the fundamentalist belief of Muslims, and that's about 10% of Muslims today, because the rest of them live in the rest of the world, and they're forced to be moderate by circumstance, but some are deep inside. And if it's just 10% of that religion who believes in fundamentalism, that's 190 million Muslims that believe that civilians should be murdered if they're Christians and Jews, or if they do not submit to Islam. This is a big problem. I say that all to say this. When a Muslim kills a Jew, it's like a passport to heaven, especially if they die doing it. Now, one of the major sayings by radical Muslim terrorists is that they love death as much as Jews love life. Because in death, Muslims get the reward. They get to the place of paradise. Now look at how they live. They live in squalor, in heat, in sand, with no running water, no plumbing, and very little food, day in and day out. And they were taught religiously they hate the Jews. But they can get that up to the place of plenty, milk and honey, and 70 virgins if they die in jihad. Well, if you live in that type of environment, you want to expedite that. And you don't care if the retaliation comes upon Muslims who are not fighting the fight. At best, once they die, they'll go to heaven too. Because they're not putting any roots in this world. They're putting roots in the next world. This is why they're going to come in and commit mass murder ordained by their religion, because it is a accelerated course to heaven, and especially if you die doing it. So this has always been the problem with Muslim terrorists. It's that they value death, whereas the Western world and Israel value life. So the outcomes that they desire are totally different. The outcome they desire is one that the other side wants to prevent. They do have an edge on that. And just letting you understand why they do what they do. They believe that their religion will bring them to heaven for doing it. They're going to be rewarded. Not that what they are and what they truly are is evil and wrong, but that what they believe is that what they're doing is right, godly, and they will be rewarded for heaven for decapitating babies. This is a big problem that you just can't fix, and the only alternative is to kill them off. There is no common ground when you want to, what's the lack of the word, bargain with life, and they want to bargain with death. When you want to negotiate more life, they want to negotiate more death. How do you do that? Muslims in their systems do not want to accept Israel as a legitimate state. There's been 3 states since the history of that area, and they've all been Jewish. And before World War II, before they were given that place the 3rd time as a state, there was 150,000 Jews who were living there already, along with Muslims. This has always been Jewish area, and you'll hear people say that it is colonialism. It's not colonialism. It would be like saying if we gave a whole state of Dakota to Indians and we said that they're colonialists now if they take it. No, because that wouldn't be true, because the Indians were here first, right? It wouldn't be colonial. It would be re-giving them something that they always have been known for. And we know that the Bible shows that Israel founded that place. This small country. The Muslims do not want to have it. And I don't know if this will ever be solved. The only reason why Israel exists today, number one, is because of their military advantage given to them by being friends with the United States of America. This is why. But Israel is the most liberal, westernized democracy in that area. The rest of them are run by caliphate, Sharia law that has nothing to do with the West. And we can't condone that. We might, I don't know, this is wishful thinking, but if Egypt and Jordan and Syria all decided to be westernized, then maybe we would be more friendly towards them with our money. But we still give money to Egypt. We give money to everybody, but we give a lot of money to Israel, especially for military power. And watch out, the money we give them, they have to buy in America. They got to buy from Northrop Grumman. They got to buy from Northrop Grumman. Are they still around? Boeing. They got to. Their military hardware comes from America, bought by Israeli money that we gave them. So it all comes back to us anyway to stimulate our economy. It's the best deal we've had with anybody. So what do I think is going to happen? I think Israel is going to go in and probably force Egypt and Jordan to take the Palestinian refugees, and I think they're going to make that a militarized zone, and no one's going to live in Gaza anymore. Israelis have been more impatient with them. They refuse to take statehood. If they don't want to take statehood, then they can't have the area. And the Palestinians will no longer be a pawn for terrorist groups or for Egypt or Jordan or Syria who refuse to take them, because they're all trying to crowd the Israeli border and constantly trying to conflict on that border. But there are another border of Egypt that they don't bother the Palestinians trying to, and they don't even bother to say like, well, they're keeping us, they're treating us like second-class citizens, which Egypt and Jordan is doing to the Palestinians. But no, because what is going on right now is anti-Semitism. And if you are not for Israel right now, you're anti-Semite. I'm sorry. There's no other way around it. If you don't think Israel should exist, if you believe that women living in an apartheid state where they treat you, let's give them the worst criticism, that Israeli treats Palestinians like second-class citizens and like they're all terrorists, and they brutalize people who try to be in conflict with them, sort of like, American police sometimes against rowdy and rude areas. Let's say that is true. It doesn't justify you murdering, beheading, and raping women. It doesn't. There's no moral equivalency for this. They went too far. And now anybody who defends it looks stupid. The correct way to say this is, look, Israel has gotten people frustrated for how they treat the Palestinian people, but there is no call for murder. We are 100% against the murder of Jews, against what is going on, even though we think Israel, is not blameless in the conflict. You have to make that distinction. You can't make a moral equivalency, because if you do, you look like a fool. And you are a fool if you believe that. How do we solve this? I don't know how we solve this, but I do know how we solve this. And here's a very unpopular saying. There's an unpopular belief of mine, and it's probably why he should never become president, is that American is an empire. American is the most strongest military and the strongest culture in human history. And we need to start acting like it. These old feuds like in Ukraine and Russia, these old feuds like with Israel and Palestine, we need to come in and squash that shit with military power. We need to go back to the police of the world, because the world does not know how to act, and there's too many evildoers, and we need to act like the empire that we are, because there is a moral responsibility with coming with that. You see, the world, it is so lucky that the most powerful nation on earth is the United States of America. If it was Russia, we'd be fucked. If it was China, we would be fucked. If it was Palestinians, we would be fucked. And I don't even know if it was Israel, if there wouldn't have been a big problem in the Middle East. But because America is the most powerful nation, the world is a better place. And the less is America, the less its presence is felt, the more murder and mayhem happens. And this is what happens. The responsibility always falls on the strongest. And we can no longer run away from that. I know we've been exhausted by wars, but now because we have pulled away from the world, looks like we might have World War III. So we need to go in there and we need to squash everybody down. We need to squash all the terrorist groups, all the Muslims groups, all the Muslim country, and tell Israel, you need to relax. Stop treating people bad because you think every one of them wants to kill you, and they might, but you can't treat them bad. You got to understand this thing called due process. And we need to be on them. We need to not tolerate what's going on in Ukraine and in Russia. And we need to not tolerate anything China needs to do. We need to step up like the global empire we are, the modern Rome, and stop and put an end to all of these old world conflicts, and tell them that the price they will pay for getting out of line is more than they're willing to take. This is what I think. We didn't go into Mexico and clear out all those narcos, dethrone and make sure that money that Mexico, this prosperous nation, it doesn't get to the old people. So all these people are starving economically. I mean, this is very unpopular, but sometimes colonialism needs to happen, because for the last 150 years, Mexico and all these Latin countries have not been able to get their shit straight, and millions of people are trying to come into the United States every year. Well, this is intolerable, because it sucks to turn these people away, because they're starving economically and in reality, but we can't funnel them. We can't bring them all in. So what do? Well, We need to do what's unpopular. Probably take over Mexico and make it America. Take over Central America, make it America. Bring them into the States. Start bringing them in. Sometimes colonization needs to happen when these countries are not going to step into the Western world and start treating their people correctly. That's what I think. That's why I can never be president. But if this many people are crawling over our borders, there's a major problem in Latin America. And if Latin America ain't willing to fix it, then we should. Then we should. I think that makes sense. You might think I'm crazy. Maybe. But at the end of the day, Hamas needs to go. And they're most likely going to go. And a lot of civilian deaths by the Palestinians. You better be ready for all of that. You better be ready for all the bombings and all the children that the Muslims put in the places where they have weapons, caches. You're going to see, once Israeli blows them up, they're going to see dead children's bodies coming out of there. You got to prepare for that. Because Israel's already warning all Palestinians, you need to get the fuck out because we're going to bomb the whole place. And Muslim terrorists are making them stay. That's a fact. That's not just me like a conspiracy theory. That is a fact. Israel is texting and sending pamphlets and calling phones, telling them, you need to get out because what we're going to do to this area, you cannot survive. And the Muslim terrorists are making them stay there. If they try to leave and try to get out of there to avoid the danger, they'll murder their own people because they are a pawn. The Palestinian people are a pawn to the terrorists, to the Muslim countries. They won't allow them to become a state. They want it to be this rogue area where they can harass Israel and Israel reacts bad to, and where they have gotten global support based upon it not becoming a state. Because once it becomes a state, you can attack the leadership of that state. And Jordan, Egypt, does not want Palestine to be their own state. No Muslim, because it is useful to them. But not today. Not today. They went too far in the advent of social media. The advent of social media has opened the eyes to the atrocities that these Muslim terrorists have gone way too far for support. And at the end of the day, if you resort to violence, you lose the argument. But Muslims are not trying to win an argument. They're trying to win their way to heaven. So what do? Americans. We have to make sure our intellect is keen and our emotions are in check. And we do this. The future is now. Technology is growing at an exponential rate, and if you're not positioned to take advantage of this new technological landscape, you will be left behind. Why is that? You will not be able to keep up with the growth and speed of informational technology. By the time you've learned it, it has already evolved. So your success will rely on 100% of your mindset and emotional intelligence. Because for most, the anxiety and uncertainty of trying to compete in this futuristic landscape will overwhelm you and paralyze you to make any decision. You can either stand against the current of technological progress or surf its wave to prosperity. We do this by creating a more powerful intellect and identity to compete in this futuristic economy. So my friends, I introduce to you the Identity Redesign Matrix. Designer identities for the future. In this digital coaching course, we have chosen 8 strategic modules to maximize your human potential. The accumulation of knowledge of over 30 years of what really works. Now, normally this is what it would cost you to work with me one-on-one. You get all my knowledge of coaching, counseling, and performing on stage in this digital course at an extreme discount. We also make available to you a group coaching call once a week for 3 months for extra added support. But what I am really offering you is power. Power over your own life. Power to make your own decisions, to create the life that you always wanted, to be the person who you always wanted to be, to never let yourself down again, to never compromise yourself again, to become a fundamentalist of your own dreams, a revolutionary of your own cause. I leave you with this, that the unique thing about humans is also the saddest, is that we burn bright for only a while and then we're gone. As you know, some people burn brighter than others. Before you're done, how bright do you want to burn? If you want more information, the link is in the show notes or in my profile, or go to jamessalazarmedia.com/sling. Get used to that. Little advertisement for my new online coaching course. So let's recap. Muslim terrorists are doing this because they want to solidify their way to heaven, and they don't care about the atrocities. They actually believe they're blessed by that. Israel has no choice but to retaliate with extreme force, which the Muslims don't care, because if they die because of terrorists doing the will of God, and if they end up dying, they'll get to heaven too. But Israel's left to probably take over, I would bet 80%, but I don't know. It all depends on what how the world reacts to this. Right now the world's reacting in their favor, so their best bet is to totally get rid of Gaza, push all the refugees towards the Middle East countries, and keep it a militarized zone. And this conflict is as old as time, as old as recorded history. Back with Abraham, and there's always been resentment there because of it, which grew into hate. And always, and this is for you in your life, if resentment unchecked and undealt with will always result into hate and murder, or depression and suicide. Just a little tidbit there for you. So the answers to this is not good, because the only answer for Israel is to fight back and make sure this doesn't happen again. And that means the killing off of Hamas and moving that chess piece by Muslim countries and Muslim terrorists, Gaza, and getting rid of it altogether. So we'll see what happens. And here's the biggest worry. I know we're going long on this one, but we have been letting millions of people come into this country a year for as long as Joe Biden's been president, as long as we stop being focused on securing our border. We do not know who's in our country right now. We don't. And right now you need to have a plan of action. If terrorism starts in America, starts coming back, because they would have more than enough people to cause real damage. And we know, and I know this is not popular to say, but we know that the way they feel they will hurt us the most is by attacking our children. That's how they're going to make us feel the pain the most, is by attacking our children, raping and murdering our women. And that's their MO. So as a family, as a community, we all need a plan. the one advantage that America has, that we believe in the Second Amendment, that we can arm ourselves. And you need to go to your PTA meetings, you need to go to your community meetings and talk about a plan of action if terrorists decide to terrorize. So we live in some very uncertain times. So the best way to feel less anxiety about this uncertain times is to plan and create a plan of certainty. So I'll leave you with that today. This is James Salazar signing out of Intellectual Anarchy.